So guys, today is the day 2 of reading 5 pages of book. This thought came in my mind that I should document this. Actually, I have been struggling to, build a reading habit or to build a reading habit and to improve the मुंह से बात करना in English. Yes. So I am trying to improve, and I will use this pen and put this in my mouth, and will speak each and every word in the page. So yesterday I had done 5 pages. Now is the day 2, but I will post it at day 1 on YouTube. Okay, so page number 6: how to win friends and influence people. Page number 6. These markers are not done by me. These are done by my friends who read. I'm trying to improve. I'm trying to build a reading habit. Actually, I need this book. I need this kind of book because I can't win friends and I can't influence people. I can't talk. I think half of the time this is because of my thinking that I can talk, but sometimes I think I can talk. Okay. Between Theodore Roosevelt and President Taft, a quarrel that split with the Republican Party put Woodrow Wilson in the White House and wrote bold, luminous lines across the First World War and altered the flow of history. Let's review facts quickly. When Theodore Roosevelt stepped out of the White House in 1908, the battery is about to die. That's why I am trying to charge this phone. I'm so dumb. Is it charging? Yes, it is charging. Now how to set up this phone? Yeah, Mr. I'm so addicted. Yeah. Okay. Third step letter White House in 19. He supported Taft. Went out to America to shoot aliens. When he returned, he exploded. He denounced Taft for his conservatism, tried to secure the nomination for third term himself, formed the Bull Moose Party and all but demolished the Republican Party. In the election that followed, William Howard Taft and the Republican Party carried only 2 states, Vermont and Utah, the most disastrous defeat the party had ever known. Theodore Roosevelt blamed Taft, but did President Taft blame himself? Of course not. With tears in his eyes, Taft said, "I don't see how I could have done any differently from what I have. I don't see how I could have different. I don't see how I could have done differently from what I have." Who was to blame, Roosevelt or Taft? Who was to blame, Roosevelt or Taft? Frankly, I don't know and I don't care. The point I'm trying to make is that all of Theodore Roosevelt's criticism didn't persuade Taft that he was wrong. It merely made Taft strive to justify himself and to reiterate with tears in his eyes, "I don't see how I could have done any different from what I have." Or take the Teapot Dam oil scandal. It kept the newspaper ringing with indignation in the early 1920s. It rocked the nation within the memory of living men. Nothing like it had ever happened before in American public life. Here are the bare facts of the scandal. Albert B. Fall, Secretary of the Interior in the Harding's cabinet, was entrusted with the leasing of government oil reserves at Elk Hill and Teapot Dam oil reserves that had been set aside for the future use of Navy. Did Secretary Fall permit competitive bidding? No, sir. He handed the fat, juicy contract outright to his Edward L. Doheny. And what did Doheny do? He gave Secretary Fall he was to please call a loan of $100,000. Then, in a high-handed manner, Secretary Fall ordered United States Marines into the district to drive off competitors whose adjacent soil was shipping oil out of the Elk Hill reserves. These competitors, driven off their ground at the ends of guns and bayonets, rushed into the court and blew the lid out the Teapot Dome scandal. A stench arose so wild that it ruined the Harding administration, nauseated, nauseated, nauseated an entire nation, threatened to wreck the Republican Party and put Albert B. Fall behind prison bars. Fall was condemned viciously, condemned as few men in public have ever been. Did he repent? Never. Years later, Herbert Hoover intimated in a public speech that President Harding's death had been due to mental anxiety and worry because a friend had betrayed him. When Miss Fall heard that, she sprang from her chair. She wept. She shook her fist at fate and screamed, "What Harding betrayed by Fall?" No, my husband never betrayed anyone. This whole house full of girls would not tempt my husband to do wrong. He is the one who has been betrayed and led to his slaughter and crucified. There you are, human nature in action. Wrongdoers blaming everybody but themselves. We are all like that. So when you and I are tempted to criticize someone tomorrow, let's remember Al Capone, Dugan Crowley, and Albert Fall. Let's realize that the criticisms are like homing pigeons. They always return home. Let's realize that the person we are going to correct and condemn will probably justify himself or herself and condemn us in return. Or like Gentle Taff will say, I don't see how I could have done any differently from what I have. I don't see how I could have done any differently from what I have. Damn, I remember this line. On the morning of April 15, 1865, Abraham Lincoln lay dying in a hall of bedrooms, cheap lodging house. Oh shit, I have read this page. Fuck. Now I realize. I forgot that I have read this page. Fuck. Why am I abusing? I'm addicted to drugs. I'm so addicted to drugs. I'm so addicted to drugs. I'm so addicted to drugs. Oh. Okay, I'll read from page 10. Okay, I'll start reading from page 10. I'll start reading from page 10. Ah. Okay. Mark Twain lost his temper occasionally and wrote letters that turned the paper down. For example, he once wrote to a man who had aroused his ire. The thing for you is brewed for me. You have only to speak and I will see that you get it. On another occasion, he wrote to an editor about a proofreader's attempt to improve by spelling punctuation. He ordered and said the matters according to my copy hereafter and I'll stop using this pen. It's kind of started to hurt. He ordered set the matter according to my copy thereafter and see that proofreader retains his suggestions in the mush of his decayed brain. The writing of these stinging letters made Mark Twain feel better. They allowed him to blow off steam, and the letters didn't do any real harm because Mark's wife secretly lifted them out of the mail. They were never sent. Do you know someone who you would like to change and regulate and improve? Good, that is fine. I'm all in favor of it. But why not begin on yourself? That's what I'm doing. From a purely selfish standpoint, that is a lot more profitable than trying to improve others. Yes, and a lot less dangerous. Don't complain about the snow on your neighbor's roof, said Confucius, when your own doorstep is unclean. When I was still young and trying hard to impress people, I wrote a foolish letter to Richard Harding Davis, an author who once loomed large on the literary horizon of America. I was preparing a magazine article about authors and I asked Davis to tell me about his method of work. I get out of breath. I don't while speaking. Really, I get shortage of breath while speaking. I think it's because of I don't speak that often. That's why I'm trying to improve. I am trying. I always try in my life to do anything. I'm trying. I asked Davis to tell me about this matter. A few weeks earlier, I had received a letter from someone with this notation at the bottom, dictated but not read. I was quite impressed. I felt that the writer must be very easy, big. I felt that the writer must be very big and busy and important. I wasn't the slightest bit busy, but I was eager to make an impression on Richard Harding Davis. So I ended my short note with the words dictated but not read. He never troubled to answer the letter. He simply returned it to me with these scribbled across the bottom. Your bad manners are exceeded only by your bad manners. Hmm. True, I have blundered and perhaps I deserve this rebuke. But being human, resented it. I resented it so sharply that when I read of the death of Richard Harding Davis 10 years later, the one thought that still persisted in my mind, I am ashamed to admit, was the hurt he had given me. If you and I want to stir up a resentment tomorrow that may rankle across the decades and endure until death, just let us indulge in a little stinging criticism, no matter how certain we are that it is justified. When dealing with people, let us remember we are not dealing with creatures of logic, we are dealing with creatures of emotions, creatures bristling with prejudice, creatures bristling with prejudices, 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 prejudices. We are dealing with creatures of emotion, creatures bristling with prejudices and motivated by pride and vanity. Bitter criticism caused the sensitive Thomas Hardy, one of the finest novelists ever to enrich English literature, to give up forever the writing of fiction. Criticism drove Thomas Chatterton, the English poet, to suicide. Benjamin Franklin, tactless in his youth, became so diplomatic, so adroit at handling people that he was made American ambassador to France. The secret of his success? I will speak ill of no man, he said, and speak all the good I know of everybody. Hmm. Any fool can criticize, condemn, and complain, and most fools do. But it takes character and self control to be understanding and forgiving. Then I am that character. I think I have that character. A great man shows his greatness, said Carlyle. By the way, he treats little man. Page number 12. Bob Hoover, a famous test pilot and frequent performer at air shows, was returning to his home in Los Angeles from an air show in San Diego. As described in the magazine, flight operations at 300 feet in the air, both engines suddenly stopped. By deft maneuvering, he managed to land the plane, but it was badly damaged, although nobody was hurt. Whose first act was, after the emergency landing, was to inspect the airplane's fuel. Just as he suspected, the World War II propeller plane he had been flying had been fueled with the jet fuel rather than gasoline. Upon returning to the airport, he asked to see the mechanic who had serviced his airplane. I cannot speak like that in while thinking from my brain. I'm reading it. That's why it's looking like a seamless flow of words coming from my mouth. But when I sit idle with my book, I have to speak from my mind. I cannot speak that this fast. Like, just for the example, just as he suspected, the World War II propeller plane he had been flying had been fueled with jet fuel rather than gasoline. I can't say that while when I'm sitting idle, or I'm with my brain, or I have to convey something, or just I'm thinking too much. I just assume myself all of this stuff. I don't know. Upon returning to the airport, he asked to see the mechanic who had serviced his airplane. The young man was sick with the other. Oh, my leg. Fuck, mera pair. He asked to see the mechanic who had serviced his plane. The young man was sick with the agony of his mistake. Tears streamed down his face as Hoover approached. He had just caused the loss of a very expensive plane and could have caused the loss of 3 lives as well. You can imagine Hoover's anger. One could anticipate the tongue lashing that this proud and precise pilot would unleash for that carelessness. But Hoover didn't scold the mechanic. He didn't even criticize him. Instead, he put his big arm around the man's shoulder and said, "To show you I am sure that you will never do this again, I want you to service my F-51 tomorrow." Often parents are tempted to criticize their children. You would expect me to say don't, but I will not. I am merely going to say, before you criticize them, read one of the classics of American journalism. Father Forgets. It originally appeared as an editorial in the People's Home Journal. We are repeating an incident here with the author's permission as condensed in the Reader's Digest. Listen, son, I am saying this as you lie asleep. One little paw crumpled under your cheek, and the blonde curls stickily wet the damp forehead. I have stolen into your room alone just a few minutes ago as I sat reading my paper in the library. A stifling wave of remorse swept over me. Guiltily, I came to your bedside. There are the things I was thinking, son. I had been cross to you. I scolded you as you were dressing for school because you gave your face merely a dab with a towel. I took you to task for not cleaning your shoes. I called you angrily when you threw some of your things on the floor. At breakfast, I found fault too. You spilled things, you gulped down your food, you put your elbows on the table, you spread butter too thick on your bread. And as you started off to play and I made for my train, you turned and waved a hand and called goodbye, Daddy. And I frowned and said in reply, "Hold your shoulders back." Then it began all over again in the late afternoon as I came up the road and I spied you down on your knees playing marbles. There were holes in your stockings. Stockings क्या होता है बे? Stockings. I humiliated you before your boyfriends by marching you ahead of me to house stockings. 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 Stockings were expensive. If you had to buy them, you would be more careful. Imagine that, son, from a father. Do you remember later when I was reading in the library how you came in timidly with a sort of hard look in your eyes When I glanced up over my paper, impatient at the interruption, you hesitated at the door. What is it you want? I snapped. You said nothing but ran across in one tempestuous plunge and threw your arms around my neck and kissed me, and your small arms, tightened with an affection that God had sent, blooming in your heart, and which even neglect could not wither. And then you were gone, pattering up the stairs. Well, son, it was shortly afterwards that my paper slipped from my hands and a terrible, sickening tear came over me. Oh, fuck. Chap- Chapter 1 is going to end. What has 14 number page? What has habit been doing to me? The habit of finding fault, of reprimanding. This was my what to do for being a boy. It was not that I did not love you, it was that I expected too much of youth. I was measuring you by the yardstick of my own years, and there was so much that was good and fine and true in your character. The little heart of you was as big as the dawn itself over the wide hills. This was shown by your spontaneous impulse to rush in and kiss me good night. Nothing else matters tonight, son. I have come to your bedside in the darkness and I have knelt there ashamed. It is a feeble atonement. I know you would not understand these things if I told them to you during your waking hours, but tomorrow I will be a real daddy. I will chum with you and suffer when you suffer and laugh when you laugh. I will bite my tongue when impatient words come. I will keep saying as if it is but a ritual. He is nothing but a boy, a little boy. I am afraid I have visualized you as a man, yet as I see you now, sun crumpled and weary in your coat. I see that you are still a baby. Yesterday you were in your mother's arm and your head on her shoulder. I have asked too much and too much. There's a lot of saliva producing in my mouth when I'm speaking. Instead of condemning people, let's try to understand them. Let's try to figure out why they do what they do. That's a lot more profitable and intriguing than criticism, and uh, it breeds sympathy, tolerance, and kindness. To know all of it, to all is it to forgive all. As Dr. Johnson said, God Himself, sir, does not propose to judge a man until the end of his days. Why should you and I? Principle 1, don't criticize or condemn or complain. Okay. So, guys, I have learned the principle 1. I have read the chapter 1. In this chapter 1, I have learned that you should not criticize people. Basically, tell people what they want to hear. Tell people good about them in the conversation. I think this is what chapter 1 it is. It seems. Telling people good things about them, not lying, but good about them. Don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Don't complain about what they are doing, what certain things they are doing. If they are doing bad things, don't complain that you are doing bad things. Try to make them understand just by saying you are doing fine, but you can also try to do this thing. It will kind of improve of what you are doing. Yeah, so that's what I learned. Don't criticize, don't condemn, don't complain about a person, or and talk good things about the specific person you are talking to. Chapter 1 completed. Dale Carnegie. Dale Carnegie. Dale Carnegie. Okay. Now the chapter 2 is the big secret of dealing with people. Should I start it now or in the next video? I don't know. But I don't know how much. Okay, it's a 24-minute footage. How much pages I have read? I started on 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. I think it seems that I have read more than 5 pages. Okay, so then today's video is done. I will try to continue this stuff and series or streak. Bye.